Good morning and good Thursday morning. I'm gonna switch scenes over here. All right. So it is Thursday, which means another morning stream, and that also means that we're going to work on brcodegg again. So when I left off on Tuesday, we had decided that we weren't going to use a sort of a GameGrid cell. What was it? A GameGrid cell structure that had a cell in it, but rather it would make more sense to just have a struct in it. Now, GameGrid cell might actually be what we want, and we just want to rewrite that to not necessarily use an enum inside of it, but rather to take in maybe a reference to like the bot it is, or whatever other thing that it is inside of there. Because the game grid isn't going to always sort of have every cell all the time, it's only going to have the cells that exist when we want them to. And what we did last time was we deleted the game grid cell structure, the entire file, so it doesn't exist anymore, which is why this is yelling at us saying, hey, this is not a good thing. And placeBot, of course, doesn't exist. This is what we're trying to make is a game grid where in the library we could run update, tell the bot, hey, it's your turn. Here's the turn number. Here's your location, and here's the state of everything. Where do you want to be? And then the bot is going to choose its own starting position on turn 0. But in order for us to do that, we have to have the ability to place the bot. In order to place the bot, we need to have some kind of structure we're going to put into place inside of the hash map to show where that bot is. So that's what we're working on today. And I'm not really sure. I guess we could call it GameGrid cell and just sort of recreate that, but it's not going to use an external enum like it did last time. I think it's just going to take in maybe the ID of the bot. Right. So the game grid shouldn't care about what the bot is. It should really just care about, hey, I have this bot and it's right here. And if it just takes in the ID of the bot, and the ID could be the position that it's at in the vector. So if our place bot takes in a bot index, which will be position 0 in a vector, and a bot location, I wonder if this instead could be, I guess it could be an enum with a sort of anonymous struct inside of it. If we take a look at, what was it? It was Rustlang by example enum. I just had this up too. Okay, so we have enums right here. So we could have anonymous structures in an enum. So here it's web event, then click is the sort of the arm of this, one of the possible choices, and then that can store data like a structure. That might be what we want, because then we can put inside of here just the ID. And, well, the location is actually going to be here, isn't it? This is going to be the location. Good morning, Miguel. So maybe all we care about, well, we're eventually going to care about the type of thing. So maybe we want to just say the bot. So maybe it's just an enum. Maybe that's all we place is the piece. and we keep this, we get rid of that struct, we put the piece directly in here. It's either going to be a bot index. So essentially it's just going to be a bot that holds an index of a U16. I totally understand doing index here. And then otherwise it could be something like a bullet or anything else, which would also hold the bot index inside. All right, so I'm gonna save this. Let's bring in piece. We're already bringing in piece here. Use create point, but it's not being used. We have hash map. We're gonna need to use piece, and inside of here, let's store the piece. All right, so down here in place bot, it doesn't exist. Okay, so that's fine. It's gonna take in a bot index and the bot location. So GameGrid, implement GameGrid, we have new. We have nothing in a hash map. The location is just a point, it looks like. Could I wonder, I'm doing this as a string. Would it be better to do this as a point and have this? Good morning, Juan. Wrong number of type arguments, expected 1. Okay, so I think, what are my points? Oh, okay, so point is a generic. I have a U16. My choice is U16, essentially, because I have no methods for anything else. I did eventually, like at one point in time, I had been experimenting with using an F32, and then that ended up not working very well. So U16 is my only choice. Oh, right, it's just U16 type. Yeah, it does depend on the size, but because I implemented this this point myself, I kind of am limited to what I implemented. I'm using a generic for one type. So clearly a rewrite where I don't do that is in order. But I vaguely remember we ran into a problem where we wanted to be able to convert between F32s and U16s, but that's just not possible. We run into too many potential conversion problems where F32 was not allowed. It might have been, but if I just stay to one number type, then at the very end convert to F32s when dealing with GGEZ, then I think things become a little bit easier. Yeah, that was a pain. I was thinking about how I'm really getting close to the point where rewriting this is going to be in order, but because we'll know how it works, a rewrite will go pretty fast. And then we won't do crazy things like a generic for one type. All right, so we're going to hold a point as the key, and then a piece. That way I can get out by said point, and because I have equals, like I have the comparative setting for point, I can actually do that. Okay, hash map new. The trait bound point U16. Oh, standard compare equal is not satisfied. Okay, so we need to add in standard compare equal the trait for point. So we've done this for a few other things, haven't we? I think we can derive. So we have serialize, deserialize. Can we, is it like compare or equal? I don't think it's equal. Oh, the trait standard hash hash is not implemented for point. Okay. Yeah, and you're not. Can't compare point t with point t. No implementation for point t equals point t. Where point t, so where point t, standard compare partial equal bound. I feel like, I wonder if I change this to not be a generic, and we did this as, here, let's just get rid of, this is not being used. I don't need that. If I got rid of this generic, oh, you're getting into capital and the non-capital. That's not any fun. U16 should get me far enough. Yeah, I think you're right. And I'm just gonna have an internal, like I won't be able to make grids that are like bigger than U16s. But I think that's gonna be fine enough also for at least the beginning of this. So if I just implement point now, and we get rid of all of you, we have function, taken U16, point, what are you upset about now? Oh, that's fun. I don't need that many. Okay. All right, so that technically gets rid of all those. You are now upset. Wrong number of type. Okay, so expected 0. So now I can just do point. I'm going to have lots of problems elsewhere because I'm doing point like this. That's okay, location point. I can get rid of you now. You're the only one. Okay, so that's good there. Save you. Back to mod, hash map new. Okay, the trait bound point standard hash is not satisfied. The trait hash is not implemented for point. Okay, so let's come back to here and implement and derive hash. Okay, and then down here, and now it's just saying no place spot. Okay, so I think that might work for us. We'll find out. So in implement, we're gonna place a bot. Okay, so let's create a new function for this. This is gonna be a public function place bot, and it's gonna take in the bot index and a bot location. And so these are all just gonna be U16s because that's what we're doing with. So bot index is gonna be U16, and bot location is gonna be a point. Are we going to return anything? I don't think we are, and if we have any, I guess we can like bubble up any errors that we get, but this should hopefully work. But I guess we do have some problems of like, what if we go over another location? And we can actually test for that. But for right now, let's just do place the first bot on the grid. Maybe I'll actually rename that. Place first bot on grid. All right, so we now have place bot GameGrid. No method named placeBot. You should exist now. There's an associated function, not a method. This is in implement GameGrid. Oh, because self. This is going to take a mutable self too. That should make this go away and at least change. Cannot borrow GameGrid as mutable, as not declared as mutable. So let's mute that. All right, no errors. Now, when we place this bot here, we then want to verify that the bot exists, or that the game grid exists. We have the location as this new point here. I should be able to get the index out. And since I have the grid, if I were to say, is it, oh man, assert. Almost want expect. Okay, so assert equal, we're gonna do GameGrid dot grid dot, we want to get okay, so returns a reference to the value corresponding to the key. The key may be any borrowed form of the map's key type, but hash and equal on a borrowed form must match those for the key type. Interesting, there's these two gets, but I don't think that's what I want. All right, so I just want this get. So grid, and then we want to pass it in the key here. So that's going to be a reference to bot location. Now I think I already gave ownership to this bot location, so I can either give a new point, give a location to that. I think that might end up making more sense. So let get bot location equals bot location dot clone, because I'm not gonna be in this specific situation. So it might make more sense to do this. And then there'll be a reference to get bot location. And then what we expect to get out of it is a reference to 0. Expected enum standard option found reference to integer. Oh, is it an option that I get out? I do. Okay, so I should probably do this out here. So let yeah, option value. Okay, examples use standard collection hash map, new, so equal map.get reference to 1 is a sum A. Okay, so that's, I just need the sum. Sum 0. And reference. expected enum, GameGrid piece. Oh, right, because it's not going to be just some 0. It's going to be a new enum. It's going to be a new piece. So let's get that too. So let, I guess like, let bot piece equals piece bot index 0. And then in here, it'll be a reference to a bot piece. All right, the test isn't giving me any errors anymore. So I think it's time to run it. And of course it's gonna fail because this method that we have on here doesn't do anything at all. So cargo test. All right, failures. In the GameGrid, place first bot on the grid. The left has nothing in it, and the right wants the sum bot index of 0. Okay, so it's exactly as we thought. We haven't implemented it, so therefore it doesn't work. When we place the bot, when we place the first bot on the grid, we can just attempt to place it on there. So we have the bot location, which is a point, and we have this bot index. So we're gonna have to create the enum. So let's do that first. So let piece equals piece. It's gonna be a bot index. So that gives us our enum. We have our hash map already, so we can just sort of insert that into there. So now it's going to be self.grid.insert. We're going to insert key and then a value. Okay, so insert. The key is going to end up being the bot location. And then the value is going to be the piece. Method is never used, place bot. Oh, right, okay, so that's no problem because we're not using it yet. Let's run these tests again and see if they pass. Okay, so MainState new, panicked at assertion failed, left equals right. Okay, so this is in the main library 113. We got 1, we wanted 5. Bots.length. We got 1, we wanted 5. We passed in 5. Oh, do we? I don't think we. MainState bots. This is the number of bots that we want. And I think what we decided to do was we weren't having that anymore. So we take a look at this. MainState new. We've taken a width, which is here 55, height, which is 42, the grid cells count, which is 5, and then the bot file names. Which, this doesn't make sense with the bots.length. Because we're testing width, height, the GameGrid height, and the GameGrid width. And then, okay, so this, I think this test can go away. I'm surprised this isn't failing, because the game grid height and width should be equal to this, I believe. Let's see if that also fails. Yeah, it does. Okay, perfect. That's what we wanted to see. Consistency. All right, and all the tests are passing. Now, of course, we're not done with this with the game grid yet, because we can't really trust placing a bot fully. Or I guess like maybe we kind of can right now. But what if the bot decided to place itself out of bounds? That should be an error. And it could return, well, we don't even want to get a get. When we place the bot, we want it to just throw an error right then. And of course it's Rust, so it's not going to throw an error, it's going to return an error type. So therefore it should probably return some kind of result. So let me think about this. If we do another test here, and our function is going to be place bot out of bounds on grid. All right, this is going to be very similar to the other one. So we're going to start with let mutable game grid equals game grid new. We'll just make it a 2 by 2. Let bot index. I don't really need the bot index thing, because this was just sort of like showing what this all is. I can just do this directly inside of here. We're going to place the bot. We're going to have the index and the bot location. So let location, I'll just call it bot location. Let bot location equals point new. Now we made a 2 by 2. Well, let's say we make a 25, position 25, position 25. We're now going to do GameGrid.placeBot. We're going to hand it the bot index of 0 and the bot location. Now, so normally this would be enough, and we just say like, okay, this is what we wanted. But I kind of want to do a match on this and have it not work properly. Philip Sandstrom, the color of my monitor is very, very dark against my dark chat background. Good morning, and thank you for rating, and welcome everybody from Philip Stanstrom's channel. Today we've been working on a coding bot game, and I think that I don't really have any like playability. I'm still very early on in the stage, but let me try running it. Let's see if I've got it in a runnable state. All that I have right now is a grid printing out. So I think in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, a 7 by 7 grid. And eventually what's going to happen is that players are going to submit code through GitHub, and they're going to register on a website, which also does not exist right now. And that's going to be able to allow them to say, okay, bot, it's your turn. Here's the state of the game. Where do you want to be on this grid? They'll put in, and I'll put some kind of marker of where the bot is. And then it'll just go around turn by turn and say, okay, what do you want to do? You can move, you can fire your bullet, or you can do something else. And then we'll just let the bots run around in this grid until there's only one left. And that will be the battle royale part. So it'll be a sort of like a coding game, but I'm going to use Docker and make sure that only one, you could use any kind of language as long as I've written like a Docker container to support that. You gotta give all your PC all the resources to decompile. Oh no. That's actually a That's a really interesting. Decompiling is always interesting because you don't really end up with as nice code as when it was first written. So you still have to sort through a bunch of like single letter variables and other weird stuff. But yeah, it could take a while too. So what I've been working on here is the ability to place a bot on top of on the grid. And so if we go over to our example bot. Right now I'm just using JavaScript. And so it's not running in Docker right now. It's just my code is calling Node.js and then running the bot directly, but it is handing it a JSON objects that's stringified, and then it's just grabbing it, and right now it's just saying, hey, just put me here. Obviously later on we're going to have a lot more complications. All right, so back to our game mod. Oh, and of course the most important part, all of this is being programmed in Rust because that's the language that I'm trying to get better with, and building a game as a way to get better with the language, I think is the most fun way to do it. All right, so we're currently doing a test for place the bot out of bounds in a grid. We want some kind of result, so I'm thinking we're gonna have to do a match. We're gonna match on the game grid, place bot, do this. Now, of course, we don't have any arms yet of what this is gonna potentially return. So I'm thinking it's gonna be a result of some kind. And then that means we're gonna have the option. Oh man, it's been long enough that I forgot if I need to put like an option to this. Oh right, it's gonna be an error or an okay. So all we care about is that we get the error, and we're gonna get a static string out of it. So probably a message. And I want to assert equal that the message is equal to cannot maybe like a bot out of bounds. So thinking about this, I wonder if I should just have an enum that would have like the potential error objects, not error, the error arms in it. And then that could just bubble up until the main library, and then that could be the sort of like the result that's displayed out for the bot, instead of right here in a game grid. So instead of a message, it can just be the actual like error object, or the error enum, I guess. Would I want that to be in game grid? Have it have its own errors? Or would I want to have like a full game error enum? I don't know. Like my error handling, I'm still very new to that, so I'm not sure what the appropriate thing is. I'm gonna just try a new. Let's just do error.rs. And we'll put that here in GameGrid. So that'll be the same as like we have a piece here. We're now going to have an error. So this is it's going to mimic the piece. We're going to make this a public enum error. So public enum. I think I'm going to call this a grid error. And it's well, the first arm that we're caring about is out of bounds, and that's pretty much it. Now I don't need any of this derived stuff because I'm not doing anything yet with that. Although I'll probably need a partially equal on it, but I'm gonna let the compiler yell at me, and then we'll put that in. And we'll need to bring this in. So we have mod piece. where are we bringing in? Oh, is it just available to us? Hash maps point. Oh, we have used. Okay, so we have mod error. Use error grid error. Then down here, I can actually use this now. So we're going to assume that it's not going to be, we're just going to call this a error. And we're going to assert that error is equal to grid error out of bounds. And we'll semicolon that because it's the end of the statement. Oh, right, no semicolon inside of the match. Doesn't implement standard format debug. Okay, so I'm going to have to do the same thing as this piece. We need debug and probably partial equal. So I'm just going to copy you. Place you in here. Okay, so now it's yelling at me, telling me, well, I didn't actually return a result. So how does that work? So we'll come back up here. This will, of course, break the previous test, but that's okay. We'll fix that. So in placeBot, we're now going to return a error. Oh, single error. We're going to turn a result. The error type is going to be a grid error, right? Yeah. Grid error, and the good type is just going to be nothing, right? So like that. Okay, now I'll close up the side so we can see everything a little bit better. Oh, did I get it backwards? Result type error. Yep, Also, I'm dyslexic, which is one of the reasons why I get these backwards all the time. Okay, so okay there, and then grid error on this side. Perfect. Now, of course, it's going to yell at me because I haven't implemented that. And I've expected result. I found absolutely nothing. So we attempt to place this in here. Grid insert. So because we're checking if it's out of bounds, we need to actually do that check. Because, well, we can do that right now because we have the width and the height. So if our width, if it's greater than that, so we'll do a quick if statement here. So you have let piece equals this. If the location, now do I have on point, I have partial equal. I have no idea if this is going to allow me to do like a greater than. And I don't know if I want to fully try that. So I'm saying go to 25, 25. So that's going to be on position like 25 on the x-axis and 25 down. So if the bot location dot x, if that is going to be greater than self dot width, or if bot location dot y is greater than self dot height, well, that's out of bounds on the bottom and the right. I still need the top and the left. So or bot location is less than 0, or sorry, bot location dot x is less than 0, or bot location dot y is less than 0. Okay, so if any of these are true, love how it's just going to give me those errors, which won't let me see any other errors until I eventually get a result in here. Okay, so if we have this bot location for this, then we want to return the error. And the grid error, okay, so now we're gonna just, I guess I'll just do a return error. I think it's a function like that, grid error. Better to use OK. Yeah, that's what I remember, Miguel, is that the open and closed parentheses for this is the equivalent of an OK. From what I remember. Okay, so now down here, I should just be able to do OK like that. Expected value found enum grid error. Oh, right, and it's not grid error, it's grid error out of bounds. Now, what are you? Comparison is useless due to type limits. Oh, because the x can never be less than 0. That's actually interesting. I won't be able to do this type check here. Because it's a U16, therefore can't go negative. That's interesting. I'll have to, when we get around to like, hey, did you move off the screen to the left? That'll be a very interesting test to have to work through. Okay, so place the bot down here. Okay, right. So non-exhaustive pattern. I'm not testing that other one, but we don't really care about it because I'm only testing the error. So I'm just gonna say that I do nothing here. Can I do like that? Yeah, okay. So let's save this and try. Game that can only go in one direction. Well, you can only stay in bounds. You can't never not be in bounds. That works, right? All right. Cargo test. Well, the test passed. So that means that we did get our grid error properly. I'm kind of surprised. Well, I guess because I'm not really caring about the result of this, so it just works. Now, one thing I'm not doing, and I kind of like forgot to do, is that on this insert, I believe it returns an option. If the map did not have this key present, none is returned. If the map did have this key present, the value is updated, and the old value is returned. So I think for place bot, when it's first, this is fine. But we're going to have another one, which is if a bot attempts to place itself on top of another bot, that we shouldn't allow that. So I'm not going to want to just blindly do an insert. So therefore, that's another test. So place bot out of bounds, we give this error. Let's do another test here. Test place bot on underscores, place bot on top of other bot. Okay, so inside of here, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to get a mutable instance of the GameGrid. GameGrid new. Let's give it also a 2x2 square. Then we're going to have, so this new bot location is a point this point new. I think first we're going to place bot, and we could probably just do this in line here. Now we're going to have to handle this this first insert, but it shouldn't really matter because, well, it's not gonna error here, so we can expect that. So we're going to do GameGrid dot place bot. The bot index is going to be 0, and the bot location is going to be a point new, and let's do 1 1. And then here we're going to do the dot, just a dot unwrap. All right, so that'll handle the error for us. Then we want to place another one on top of it and get a completely different error message. So we're going to say, okay, game grid. So we're going to match this. So match game grid dot place bot. This is going to be bot index number 1, and we're going to have a point, a new point, and we're going to put it onto the exact same point here. And now we should have an error, and we should be able to assert equal that the error is now going to be a grid error type illegal placement. I think that's what I might. Piece already exists. The point, the cell is used. So it is an illegal move, but that doesn't really tell me why it's illegal. I think it might be better if location already filled. Or maybe I should do like a bot is already in that location. So the grid error is maybe bot exists in location. I'm just using big. This is a long arm for grid error, but I'm not really sure the best what else to put in here. And then of course we don't care about a success because we're causing a failure on purpose. And this will be a semicolon here. Now of course this bot exists doesn't exist. So let's go fix that. An error. I'm going to copy you. All right, so now we add this to grid error. In the other branches, you would assert something that would always fail. Any other branches here? Like at the same time? All right. We also have no errors anymore, so we should be able to run the tests and of course get an error because it doesn't return that error message. To make sure you weren't skipping the branch you expected. Actually, this is interesting. It doesn't. Oh, this doesn't cause an error. I was hoping that this would cause an error because I didn't get an error. What's a way to actually like cause an error in a test? Because I think I got this. I think that's what you're talking about, right? The test could be going to the anything match and not the error match you expect, and you wouldn't get an error. Right, I think you're right. So I don't want to do this catch-all, or rather, I can do the catch-all, but I want to actually like throw an error. I can't remember how to just manually force something to fail in the tests. What? I don't want to test. I guess it's the assert. You got a false positive, just assert false wrong branch. I was hoping there would be something like the equivalent of like a throw where I could just do that. But so you're suggesting, oh, panic. Yeah, I could just do a panic. Okay, so if I do that, I'll just panic. Panic. There we go. Let's run this again. We should be able to get the panic and a failing test. We got syntax errors. Okay. Expected open delimiter while parsing the match arm starting here. Oh, yeah, okay, so I have to give not, let's see, should have erred with out of bounds. And then down here, should have erred with bot exists in another location. All right, no errors there. Let's run tests again. Okay, fine. We get our pass. Wait, well, sorry. We get our error failures. Game thread panicked at should have erred with bot exists in another location, but it didn't, which means that it just returned an okay. So we want to come up to place bot here, and before we do, so we this is fine, but the insert is not, because this will just update the bot location with the piece, and so we don't want that. So let's go take a look. Is there an easy way to? There is. We can just go straight to the documentation here. So what I want to do is I want to find out, is there an insert, but it only does the insert if it exists, if it doesn't exist in. So new. Now, of course, I could do keys and just get the keys. Gets the give. Okay, so I don't want that. Contains key, returns true if the map contains a value for the specified key. But of course, later on we're going to have bullets and potentially drops. And you should be allowed to move into a bullet, which of course would kill you, but that should be a legal move. So I don't know if I want to do just contains key. I think maybe we should try a get first. It enables bots to sacrifice themselves for others by moving in the way of bullets. That would be interesting if a single person had a whole bunch of bots on their side. And it ended up being a battle royale of 2 players, but each of them with different coded bots. That would also be a very interesting idea. Get the key value, returns the, okay, so just contains the key. Now, of course, I could do the standard test-driven development thing of, well, if it exists, just don't do that. And then later on, refactor that to be something else when I get to that testing period, because I don't have bullets yet or drops. There's no need to worry about it. I think it might be best to actually do the right thing though. Returns key value pair. I think I just want to get and either it's gonna be an option. So it's gonna be a none or a sum. So if it's a none, then I can do the insert. And if it's a sum, I need to check what it is, but maybe not right away. So we're gonna do a full get. So inside of here, let's start here, and I think we can just do a straight up match off of this. That entry is another. I used entry before. I don't think it's what I want right now. Gets the given keys corresponding entry in the map for in-place manipulation. Yes, that lets us like change things around later. Which, I mean, we might need sometime. All right, so let's match. We're gonna match off of the self.grid. We need to get, and the key is going to be the bot location point. Now, am I giving it a reference to it? I believe. So a reference to bot location. And we're either going to have a sum of, I guess it's going to be the value, right? So it's going to be right now we don't really know what it is. I'll just put the cell. And we'll do something there, and then also there's going to be the none. And if there's the none, then we want to do this. We want to then grid insert bot location piece. And then I think we'll insert, it's an option, but what will actually return? Oh, it's not going to be a result. All right, I'll come down and I'll handle this in a second. So if it's going to be something in the cell, so something is here, and it's going to be whatever this piece is, and the piece right now can only be a bot index. So if this is a bot index, then we want to return our error. So do I want to do another match here? So I could do like a match on the cell. And if this is going to be piece bot index, I don't really care what the index is. If it's this, then we want to pass the error of grid error bot exists in location. And of course, the cell, well, I don't think it can be anything else right now. And then we have none. Match arms have incompatible types. Expected center result, found option. All right, so this one is just returning this. We can match off of here too. And then we're going to have a sum, which is going to be the value. I don't really care what that is. If it works, because insert is just an option with the value. The old value is returned. I don't really care about that. So if it's a sum, we're okay, and we're going to return okay. However, it's all, if none happens, that means it didn't insert, right? Oh, if the map did not have this key present, none is returned. So basically, no matter what, we just want to return okay. I kind of wonder, should I just do underscore? It seems silly to do it this way. Nested matches are okay. You've seen them in lots of code. But you could also put the enum type in the sum destructure. So sum pspot index. Oh, I can put the enum type in there. Oh, interesting. It returns an option of the existing value you replaced. Oh, yeah, for this one. Now, if I have this none, I want to do the insert and then do the, I don't actually know if I need quite to do it like this. I think what I can do is just make this more of a block here. Then I'm going to do self.grid, insert this, and then return okay. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, insert, so we're going to run a block of code, then insert into the grid, and then return okay. Now we have an error here. Unexpected. Uh-oh. I have the missed number. Always love these. These are not fun. Okay. So this opening is now closing here. That's not what I want. I want you opening there, but that's matching there. Okay, so you're opening closed here. You're opening closed with here. You're opening closed with here. I need you to be for this one. Oh, so that you just don't need to exist. There. No errors. All right, let's see if this works now. So the idea is that we should get this error that the bot exists in that location. Now it's not going to be the most efficient code here because I have to do a get first to see if it exists, and then I can do an insert. And if I just do it an insert straight away, obviously that would be much faster, but I don't want to clobber and kill a bot, which that would suck. All right. It is 7:33. It's after the normal time that I stop the stream. So let's figure out what we're gonna do next time. We're gonna keep on moving forward. So creating the bot on the grid. So we need to figure out any other tests, which is, so we have place the first bot. Everything should just work. Place it out of bounds. So if I have a 5x5, place it outside of the 5x5. Place it on top of another bot. I think that's all I need for the initial placement. And then we're going to move into hopefully making that happen for real and then displaying that to the screen next time. So I'm going to go ahead and add these in and updated, I guess, like tests for placing bot on the grid on the first turn. Now I don't think I've updated this yet. Yeah, no, I think I'll do this right after the stream. I said I was going to do that last time, then I forgot, but I have time this time. I don't have to go to work right away. So therefore, I'm going to end the stream. Then I'm going to upload that code. And for anybody who is interested, this code exists up here. I'll send this out. So I will be updating and setting the changes that we made in the last couple days worth of streaming up to here. If I ever do any coding, obviously it'll be put up to here. Almost all of my coding so far has been live on stream, and also if I'm also archiving these videos over to YouTube. I have a link to my my Twitter down below, and so whenever I do archive those, I tweet out, and also I tweet out when I stream. Since it's quite a flat hierarchy, destructuring thus the match statements will have all the optional arms, so match, some cell bot. Might be easier to oversee. Yeah, you might be right. And I might want to try that next time. I'm also not completely sure that like in the future I might have more complex stuff, but I think you're right with that. It might be easier to oversee with it. Anyways, those are really good points, and we'll have to experiment with those next time. And the next time is going to be Tuesday morning next week at the normal time of 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Obviously, I'll tweet out if the schedule changes or if I'm going to be streaming any other normal times. And if I do like an off stream, I will tweet that out. Probably like a few minutes or an hour, hopefully, if I can before that. So with that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. And stopping.